after an absolute failure of an attempt to play the Pocket Train game, we're going to try again. I don't know if this is going to work any better, because the game just confounds so many of my preconceptions about an 18xx game that it's very, very easy to make mistakes within it. What screwed me up at the end? I'm trying to remember. I can't even fucking remember. I know that I had trouble with the money going into the corporations due to the partial cap. That was easy enough to fix. I made some non-cheating but strategic and tactical errors in the game, which were definitely causing issues. I don't remember what the fucking last straw was. There was a last straw that hit me. That was just, it was impossible to fix, and I'm worried I'm going to make it again. I'm very tired. I tried to go to sleep, couldn't. Had breakfast, made myself some coffee and whatnot. Hold on. So, the peculiarities of the stock pricing when you make a run. You have to make, if you don't make half the stock value of a company, it goes back a space. And if you start at a relatively high stock value, see, this is a really, because it's partial cap, because it doesn't have a par value, you're always using the normal stock value. If it's hard to make your half the stock value of the company and you fall back in stock value, that means that your additional stocks that you sell or that other people buy or whatever are going to put less money into your corporation. So it's like really problematic there. Now, the initial setup here, we have to do the same kind of analysis we did before. So there's two companies that are available at the beginning of the game. Blue, which is set up fine. Red is not in the game necessarily right away. And white, which is also set up just fine. Gray is set up okay. Yellow is shitty. So then the question comes to green. Green is kind of shitty too. Are they horrible? Not necessarily. Both of them have the ability to expand. There was, in the prior game, the yellow company was actually really terrible, where it could not run on the first turn of the game. So there was no reason or way to pick it. Right now I'm looking at it and I'm saying, I don't know that anybody wants to spend on a bid on any of these, as opposed to the last game. We can look at some of these, though. Maybe they'll help change the mind. The end of the line, which can create a separation using this little stick here, that's that can cut off basically one hex from another, starting with round 3. And on the other side, it's the railroad bridge, which I wasn't that impressed with. But then there's also the, hey, are these companies that maybe I want the ability to work through? So, for example, if I take the white company, this is less valuable than maybe this. This would only be really usable to me for the end of the line aspect, as opposed to giving a train white right away. But white might not be my only company, so all kinds of complexity there. CEO turn, you can place the brown stationary free station spot post. That I actually am beginning to see more value to. I saw players who would have liked to have used that in conjunction with one of their own dots, make a richer location and make more money from it. And then the central station, this is a big money bonus. So that's kind of nice. It can only be put on a non-UU station tile though. So the first couple of those, this one is less likely to go. I'm looking at these being likely. The start of a operating round, you may reserve a tile. This might be just as good. Relocating a station is really nice, but that's buried far in. This one is also buried far in. That's kind of an appealing one. Oh, I don't know. I am going to... So, what we found in the last game was the $180 that people have would allow a company to start at $90 and still buy 2 shares of that company. Well, 40%, 2 shares. It would also allow someone to start 2 companies. And yes, you could actually run 2 companies right from the beginning because you're able to sell off shares to the bank pool. I'm going to need space for the bank pool, actually. You would be able to sell off shares to the bank pool to fund the rest of the company. It's not absolutely clear that it's important to hold presidencies. But then again, a better positioned company holding 2 shares of a well-positioned company that's going to make a little bit more money is better than holding 2 different companies, neither of which you can really protect. So, you know, and one of which, you know, they're either equivalent in value or one of them is of a lesser value. If one's of a lesser value, you should have gone with the one with 2 shares of the one that was better. If they're equivalent, there is some advantage to controlling companies still. Certainly. There's just not that certificate advantage that the normal XX games have. So, given all the errors I made, we will see if we can do a little better here. I don't know who gets what if everybody's tied at the beginning of the game. Because these things ensure, I think, that you don't... Yeah, these things ensure that you don't get a tie, because there's a tiebreaker. I will just go in order if nobody bids. I'm going to give everybody a 1 in 6 chance of throwing a bid, and if they do, it might be more than $1. Threw a bid in. So our first choice here is player 1. Everybody's going to start at 90 because of this. Now, again, that might not be the wisest thing because it means that I have to make 45 as my run, or else I go back in value. Now, if you play a normal 18XX, you go back on the first turn anyway. At 80, you only have to make 40. 40 is actually possible. If we're looking at a hex like this, 10, 20, 30 for your dot, and then 40 for the other stop. So the $80 run is possible to make. I don't know. You know, maybe somebody will go with the 80 because of that. So our first player here, we got the option of the blue or the red, or the white. The white is off on its own. Red is not going to join though. Purple's not going to join. I'll take blue because I like blue. And we'll start it at 90 because that seems the easiest. And I guess that's about it. So selected the end of the line card. And this gets placed. I do not have to pay anything for that one. Red, if they were starting, would have to pay. I did the same convention of buying both shares at once. The only reason for that is I just don't want to have to make lots of change just to get that 180 into my company treasury. We went with the white company and picked the station marker thing. We can put this over here as an option. I don't know. Different. Yeah, I don't know. Much more balanced and less interesting start than the last game had, actually. But I made so many damn errors I just couldn't keep going. Third one buys the gray company, again putting it at an advantageous location. I'm pretty sure I can, again, this you couldn't do in a normal 18xx game, is slide through here. Let me make sure that I can do that. But I've got a hard question as well. This has nothing to do with the rules of whether I want to go with this or this. I think I don't know. I guess I kind of like the reserve tile better than this, but either of them opens up a more powerful card, in my view at this moment at least. Starting with the gray company, I don't think that's a good idea. I think we're not going to do that. The reason for that is this is not available. I'm pretty damn sure. You have to run between stops, and I thought there was something in the ST that there was a special rule on those particular pieces that talked about the value on them, but it says you have to run past them. It's pretty clear to me that standard 18xx rules are in play there. It just takes a little bit of deciphering, which means I guess I'm going with the yellow company because I can build out this way. It's actually one reason you might go for two companies, actually, is that, and we can consider that because these guys did not necessarily have to buy two shares. They didn't buy two shares at once. This guy's buying something that does not look that attractive, to tell you the truth. If he's given an option to buy another company, and we'll pick this up. Wait, that's not the one. What the hell? Oh, this is... Yeah, I guess I'll take this one. If he only buys the one share of it, then he could still buy a share of another company, or it might be worth buying, well, I don't think it's worth buying a share of someone else's company. Although, I gotta tell you, red and blue are looking particularly tasty. This is the problem with picking this. Why I wanted to pick gray was it doesn't give an advantage to a red-blue combination. So I'm going to have to make that consideration of whether or not this money gets split up anyhow. And this weird stain on that one, probably tobacco, but I can't get it off. because this player and this player may rather have shares, have a second share or an additional share in a different company, but they're going to just be helping those other players more. So it seems to me really unlikely. Another option would be, hey, is the black company particularly appealing? Nah, it really isn't. So, although it could curve into this, it's going to take work to do that. Up with what's really kind of a absolutely balanced start. Everybody started at 90, and why did I not put the yellow in play? But red and blue are going to make a little bit more money at the beginning of the game. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, enough to go forward. The other players are not. Most 18xx games, making lots of money early is a worthwhile goal. Like, much, much better than trying to save up so that you can make money later, because someone else can catch up to your share holdings in your company if they have more money. Given that, I'm looking at, do I want to buy 2 trains? I sell one of these for 90 to the bank, and yes, I lose some stock value, but I have 100 to 80. That puts me to 270. That can buy me 2 yellow trains. We might end up with yellow and white having to buy a 3 train. Now, white can use a 3 train. Yellow can't. Delayed track. We don't want to drop a token, even though it could make us some money. We bought 2 trains. We have very little left. And now we make our run. And it is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. That's not double my value. Gonna pay it out because so much of the shares are still in my hands. So 9 doubled is 18, 36 to each of these. Because the order of play in the purchases, red is not going to be able to get 2 trains. Now, white could. And they're maybe intrigued by this idea. Or maybe not. I don't know. It's a hard call. White is doing it as well. The reasoning why is I wouldn't be able to go forward, so I'd go back. I end up with a higher stock value by selling off a stock here and running. Now my run's not going to be quite as good. It is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. But that's still enough to send me forward. And of course we'll pay out. Wow, I forgot to record. Yellow decides not to do anything too funky. They lay their track, they buy a 3 train, and they're opening up the greens now to other players. They're only able to make 10, 20, 30, $3, $6 a share. In a little bit better position. They really wish they could have hooked right in, but they cannot. So it doesn't matter which direction I go in. I could have upgraded this to something like that, which would be interesting, but then I wouldn't get my full run. So I don't want to do that. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, still pretty decent, but 60 doesn't do it, does it? Yeah, it still allows me to go forward. So I'm actually at the highest value, and that ends up at 12 a share. To take my strategy card with them, which is definitely this one. None of the companies had enough money to buy stocks, So we go to the next round. Nothing is completely sold out, of course. Blue is the most interesting company. That's the one people are going to want to buy. But we're back here. We hit the priority auction before we collect money for running our presidencies. Is there a desire? No. Again, this is similar to the last game. Nobody's got any money. You don't produce the kind of money that you need to do something right away. I see no point to it, so everything's just going to swap around 1 for 4 and 2 for 3. For that $10, the most money people have, let's see, 25, 35, 45, 46. Not going to be able to do a damn thing with that, right? The stock values didn't collapse like Reds did in my first playthrough. So there's absolutely no opportunity to do any stock play for this turn, and he should have a train. These guys would have to give up quite a bit to buy a 3 train, so that's pretty iffy for them. So it kind of feels like we're going to hit a stasis period here. And again, what I was talking about before, I don't think you should. I just don't see how you're going to utilize much of the space of the game in the course of just 7 operating rounds. Blue is the scariest of the players, I feel, so I'm upgrading their tile. That sounds like a horrible thing, but I'm taking away their group-specific advantage to put this into play. Actually, this is interesting because that will allow me to upgrade something and run better. But right now, I don't need an extra token. I don't want to buy another train, although I could run a 3 train here and a 2 train there and make some pretty good money. That would cost me a lot of shares. Is it worth it? I don't know, maybe. I'm right now sitting at $100. I would have to drop 2 shares to do this. And I could buy a second 3 train. 2 3 trains is usually a horrible thing in 18xx games, but this one allows you to just discard a train. Like, you buy a train and you get to throw out an old train. That might get me some really good money. It's tempting. It's tempting. I gotta think some more. I think it's very tempting. Here's the thing. Yellow's not going to match me with that. They can't do it. These guys both have 2 trains each. They kind of don't want to do it. They're hoping to get the first brown, maybe. The guy who buys the last green is kind of at a real disadvantage, perhaps. And they also don't necessarily have the runs. Blue is, blocked off with the 2 2s, although they'll probably upgrade this, but that still doesn't let them out. Of course, they could do something screwy. We are not quite in the 3rd round yet, but they could do something like which would be kind of dicky. I'm holding weight. He's holding the yellow or orange or whatever it is. She can't really get through to. He's holding black, who's not on the board. He's holding gray, who's not on the board. I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for it. My run is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 90, 100, 110. That is not 3 times this. we're going to just pay out, because why not? And 110 means 22 a share. Allowed to buy a share, I'm going to turn in 90 bucks and buy that tasty blue share here. Do I need to buy the blue share? Not necessarily. I could have started another company, but I'm in the richest position right now. I don't want to rush the trains anymore. Interesting things about taking this away from blue is it does actually make something interesting available to blue, a 20-point location right away. Of course, I can just upgrade something and get the same advantage. I don't know how I feel one way or the other about all of that. Blue is going to set up here 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100. Not quite as much as those 2 threes, but good enough, and we will pay out. And that's 20 a share. That thing gets money. Here's a hard call for blue. Red's shares are going to make the most money, but white hasn't run yet. So it's to my advantage, I think, to buy a white share out of here. And this is the weird thing. You're able to generate a lot of money in the companies. Just not a lot of money in the personal treasury, which is why companies might want to start new companies. Hey, I don't know. And, you know, you can shift a train around so that I could end up with a 3 and 2 twos to begin with, and then maybe pick up a 4, and I don't know. Yeah. To cash in its strategy card, to put this over here, that blocks the possibility of purple getting its bonus space in the near future. But more importantly for me, it makes me more money. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Payout to make sure I get cash. Again, I'm in that position where if I buy a yellow share from the company at this point, I end up getting an extra run out of it. That just seems valuable. I'm also getting stock value from that and everything else. So investing in that seems like a good idea. $100 isn't enough to buy me, you know, that 3 train. So unless I had a lot of cash on hand, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Of course, I could be boosting, I could buy the CEO with this and then boost it with my own cash as well, but I don't have a lot of cash on hand. So, you know, if I paid 100, that wouldn't work. I could start it at 80, which is what I'm going to pay anyway, and then have 160 bucks in there. I'd have to pay 10 out of pocket or something like that, maybe jiggle money around, whatever. Maybe it would work. Maybe. Rather invest in something that's going to make money. I have these 2 trains. They're going to go away when this happens. So, yeah, that's a problem. And we hit yellow. Yellow is in the, I am doing the worst out of everyone here. I built this track. The gray train is available. But I can't put much money, like I don't have cash here particularly, and I'm not going to make a shit ton. And that's kind of my problem. If I buy another 3 train, I could run 1 here and 1 down here. I don't know how much value there is to that. What's my special ability? I can reserve a tile. That doesn't sound very exciting. I can't do it now. I would do it at the start of the operating round. And I'm never going to remember that because it's not during my company's operating phase. I don't know what options I have. I really don't. Because these guys, one of these guys is going to unleash and buy that brown train if I buy the 3 train. I just feel like I don't have any options, to tell you the truth. I've fallen behind real fast, and not really through any fault of my own. The companies, like, this was the best company I had available. Of course, it opened up the red company, but I don't know. Okay, what happens if I swallow? I would have not enough money to buy 2 shares at 80, which would still not put enough money to buy a 3 train in there. I do have shares. I could sell shares. That is, of course, they're only $80 each. Run for a crappy 50. Hope something good happens that helps me somehow. Sometimes you fall into a brown train or something. Well, browns aren't permanent in this, so I don't know. They're not that big a deal. So 50 means that I get 10 per is all. But then I'm going to buy me a red share. Fucked something up. There should be... Blue went first. Red had to pay for this. They should have given Blue $10. I'm going to do that now. I don't know. It probably had an effect, but I don't know. But anyway, I'm over here at $90. I buy one of these. If I could buy both of them, you know, if I could buy more than one share with a corporation, that would be interesting, because I could have sold shares of my own and bought up his. That would make him go up, but I'd have a really nice portfolio of income going into the yellow company. Like it's going to push us into turn 3, and still nothing's really breaking open. I really don't know if it will in this game. I mean, at some point, somebody's got to buy that 3 train one way or another. By starting another corporation or whatever. So much money will pile up in the corporations as they keep collecting income. Oh, that's going to put us at the beginning. I am going to give myself another shot at trying to sleep or whatever. This is about the point I was at when I had to quit the last game. I don't think I'm screwing up as badly. I hope I'm not. And after a few hours sleep, you know, it's like getting on 7, I think, actually. But I woke up at like 6. Had myself a Nutella piece of bread. And the rest of my coffee. So, it's going to be hard to approach this again. The same reasons that it was hard the first time I played it. Coming back to this with all the weirdness that's going on. But right now we're in the priority auction. And everybody's got to make a decision of, is there anything really interesting? Is there any reason anybody wants to spend money? Because every buck can matter in an 18xx game. I had an 1830 game that ended up tied. Which seems insane. Now, what do we got here? Well, everybody's got 2 shares of their own company, and that's really it. Money-wise, we have a couple of people. The highest amount is 75.85. There's enough money to buy another share of something, maybe. Maybe not. 80 there. Yeah, there's not enough money to buy a share. There's the possibility, though, of dumping a company that's not a great performer. This is one of the issues. So yellow or orange here. It says yellow, it looks orange. This is how you teach people colors wrong. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of mustard, right? It's like, they call it mustard yellow, so whatever. He might be able to sell one of his shares and upgrade to something a little bit more valuable. Look, red, with all its trains, is definitely worth something. But there's nothing that's going to stop me from that. Is there any reason to trade one of your shares in for another company? I don't think so. I don't see much opportunity. I think the opportunity there is going to actually come from companies forming companies, which is completely alien as to what that's going to do to the game. It's going to increase the train rush at the cost of your corporation's capability to buy more trains, which sounds awful. But you have no easy way to get money out of your companies into your hand. You can get money out of your company into another company, and if somebody's invested in your company, you can dump your company, but... okay. So what does that mean for me? I think it means nobody's going to put a bid in, and we're going to just swap again. Everybody has one company, none of them are in the red, so it's $10 to each player. That unfamiliar timing of a little bit of extra money getting thrown at you just before the stock round, right? You get some decision on the bidding and whatnot. The money you have in hand isn't the money that you're going to actually have. Throws me for a loop again. It's just a matter of not being able to, deal with this changed order of play that slips an extra $10 into you, like privates would, but not in the operating round, not at the beginning of the operating round, so that, when you're moving towards the stock round, you're thinking about what you have. Nope, it happens right before the stock round actually happens, even after you make those bids. It just is, obviously, look, I could look and I could figure that out, but I don't, because I'm so used to your normal 18xx sequence of play. Again, you could get used to this, but it's going to throw you for a loop playing other 18xx's if this is kind of something you end up playing a lot. And I'm not really sure that all the design work and changing these things is really doing all that much of value for you, right? Except that it's like, I don't know. I mean, there may be some reason that this $10 happens here and not during the operating rounds. Like you don't want to give the $10 on the first round, but you would be giving it at the same time. You want to make sure the run happens before you make that calculation. I don't know. But creating such dissonance makes the game harder to play. And thus, you got to figure the target audience for this, it's not going to be people who don't play 18xx. It's going to be people who want this different weirdness in 18xx. But how much weirdness do you want to put in? If you start scrambling everywhere you can, you're taxing the players. You're going to make their experience, especially the first time they play it, more miserable, more painful. Is that what you want? Maybe that's the point behind modern heavy Euros, for example. That's what it feels like to me, is it's trying to make the experience more miserable. But by obfuscating what you need to do. In this case, The differences leave you unable to use the same rules of thumb that you're used to. That's not a good thing to me, but maybe it is to some people. Anyway, here we are on the stock round. I have more money than I thought I did. I now have 95 bucks. 95 bucks is enough to buy red shares. I can buy them from the bank, or I can buy them just, out of nowhere. Another option would be to buy blue shares without impacting my stock value. Blue shares aren't bad, but I think the red shares are better. I also, see, here's the problem. It's that who's going to rush the trains out? And it's not him. He doesn't have the cash. He could try to do it. He's sitting on 2 yellows. They're the first to fall. And then I'm looking at buying a couple of the brown trains maybe, which is just going to be horrible. Is a merger an option? Yeah, maybe I can break other people apart with a merger. So this guy may be interested in that. But this guy is not interested in starting another company. Is he interested in getting more money in this company? You know what? He can sell shares at an emergency fire sale if things go bad. I'm going to buy that red share. White here. Is white doing that much worse than blue? Not really. I am allowed to sell a share of white. I have 100 bucks, 175, 185, 190 bucks. That allows me to start a new company at 90. And then after they run, I guess I could merge them to try to save them. Starting a company at 90 with 2 shares, because I'd be dumping one of these, would give me 180 bucks, enough for the 3 train. That doesn't really solve my situation. Maybe this guy buys the first 4 train, but I honestly don't think that I have an advantage in that. I want to shake things up, but I mean, at what cost? So we will buy the last red share. That means at the end of the round, at the end of the entire operating rounds and everything, this thing will go up in value. Let's put 100 in there. Player 3's over here. Well, now those red shares aren't available. I don't have money. My own shares suck. Do I want to sell and devalue my shares? No, because I can sell them out of here if need be. I don't know. But putting more money in my company would allow me to start another company. But again, do I I'm doing really horribly. How much money do I need? This is 90, 180, 270 bucks. 270 bucks is like 3 shares. But he can't start the company with 3 shares. He can just help me buy shares of that other company. This is the thing. It's impossible to get money out of these fuckers. It's got a lot of money. He wants to brush the trains out. I don't have enough. Well, maybe I do. This is 90. If I started at 90, yeah, but then I'm giving, I don't know. I can't think of this. Like, my thoughts here are I should start another company because I am in the worst position. He's not shaking things up. The money that I put in my company will not get me a train, but this guy would be able to buy him a train. So we're going to go for it, I guess. No, if I sell one of these, then I have to start the company at 80 so that this guy goes before me. And conceivably, this could sell another share and fuck me over worse. I can't afford to. I can't afford to. So I will pass. Puts it over here. Good money here. 85 bucks or whatever. There's nothing I can buy for 85. I could buy another company, but I'm the one winning the game right now. I think I have to pass too, but I'm losing some ground here. Especially to fucking blue. But I think I want to maintain the position. But this is really horrible. The fact that I have only 85 bucks, that I can't buy even a fucking share of yellow, is gonna hurt me. But I will hold. I don't have anywhere to go with this. I guess I could slip down this way. My 2-3 trains aren't doing me much good. I'm running a deuce here. I'm running a 3 down here. Yeah, I guess I'm going to hold. And I don't think anybody else has cash to do anything. So we move down to the companies. Sold out is red. That means blue gets to go first. Blue's company is not the best, necessarily. It's not bad. But my holding position, like white, is 1 extra share over him. So this is a point where I can make some additional valuation. Now, this might be the turn that he decides to swallow, right? He doesn't have many shares. His money's gone into his hands, whatever. On the other hand, maybe he buys shares and continues to make value off of those. Because this is the thing, the companies have a lot of intrinsic value, even if their own stocks aren't worth a hell of a lot. So, we're at the start of the round. On round 3, I could put a block in. Put that right here. And fuck with red some more. Did somebody else have something early? At the start of a GR, you can reserve a tile. I'm never going to use that because I don't think enough about a player, a particular player or company, ahead of time. Sometimes I might in an opposed game, although usually I'm not planning that far in advance. Usually I play a very reactive game in 18xx. I guess a big argument could be made for something like this. Might be an argument for when these are running low or something. We shall see. But yellow is close to gray, so it's got some possibility of value. I don't know. So blue played its thingy, its special card. And we're running a pair of deuces. I think my best move is to upgrade this and bone red out of their special space. Maybe, kind of, I don't know. I had one legitimate one legitimate piece I could play. It's not that big a deal because I'm opening this up for him to use somewhere else again. And now, but I've really kind of shut him down. He's going to have to, as a collateral, he's probably going to have to try to build into this direction. Might end up with decent money out of that, but he ends up running 2-3 trains as 2-2 trains or something like that. I don't know. Anyhow, what is our run? Our run, not buying a train, we don't have that kind of money, is 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 110, which moves me forward if I pay out, and I think I want to pay out. 110 would be 11, that's 22 a share, starting over there. Shit ton of money here. I don't have much I can do. Guess, I don't know. You know, there's not much advance anymore to me. This is about as good as I can do. I run a 2-train and a 2-train. If I put this in, oh look, I get that little $10 bonus, but that's just the equivalent of this. I'm kind of stuck where I am. I could sell a bunch of shares and help myself float a company, but I only have $50 in my pocket at this point. Sure, I'm going to maybe get money off of that, but I don't know what. I think we just hold. And the game seems incredibly static with all this weirdness going on. Like, static and with little opportunity to do anything. I don't know if I'm, you know, just ignoring some obvious strategy to you all, but I always play with the, I don't want to go bankrupt. I don't want to hurt myself too much. It's okay if I'm really losing to shake things up. But this guy, I mean, what's he going to do? You know, there's not going to be enough money in here. You know, shares I can sell, but I could start my own company maybe anyway without the help of this corporation. This corporation needs what cash it has to buy the brown train if it comes out. Yeah, I don't know. You know, you don't get hit by train wreckage in this. When a train rusts, you don't lose a round from it. So if you have the cash on hand in your stocks and whatnot, you're okay. I don't know. So the next company is white here. And I don't see this as being particularly better than that. I'm only running a pair of deuces. You don't want to upgrade. Well, actually, upgrading this is not that great. Because I lose this, but I do gain 10 off my second train. Great. Upgrading this doesn't hurt me, though. I make more money off that. Well, or I make the same amount of money without, if I get dropped to one train, being in a better place. But I've got this. This was kind of stupid. I don't know what I'm doing. The choices, I could have chunked something up into here. I don't particularly want to do that. So instead I'm setting up to here. My 2 trains, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. 70, 80, 90, 110. Again, I think I just want to pay out, make my money as best as I can. That's 11 is 22 a share. And nobody else has any of them. Oh no, he has one. Don't have enough money to do anything. Do I want to shake things up by buying a 3-train? It really kind of doesn't. This is always the 3-train problem, is that buying that last 3-train, it is not going to run often in any XX game. Because that gets bought, somebody is going to drop down and buy the brown. Oh, I mean, I don't know. But I think somebody is going to figure out a way to get that 4-train into play. Maybe this guy. Even though it's not a permanent train, they're throwing things into so much chaos at that point. Whereas buying an extra green train doesn't. even though it's cheaper. Remaining green pieces, there is only one that helps me at all. It's this one for the UUs. It's not the one I want. I want it to connect into this so that I could run a 3-train and upgrade more things. But I'm not in that position. There is no way for me to hook up into anything yet. I could move to here and then, hook into something here and put a dot down and maybe run my trains better. I do have the capability of shifting a dot, so that's kind of nice. But what I really wanted was to get into here, but I don't have it. So it needs to have a wide curve and that sharp thing. This doesn't do it. A lot of them match. I can play a lot of these pieces. Well, a lot of these pieces could be played on that space, or a couple of them. But this is the only one that does any good for me. And I can't see anything else that I'm allowed to do that does any good for me. I was really badly slashed by this thing. And that makes my run a rather shitty 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 120. Still better than anyone else. And thus we want to pay out. There's no question there. We've got more shares of this than anyone else. Well, maybe not. Let me think. I'm not holding on to it here. If I don't pay out, I can't build another company. But I don't really need to. What do I really need? I really need $440. I'm going to swallow $120. And then, what do I buy with all this money? Well, blue shares are relatively decent, I think, and white shares are relatively decent. If I buy a blue share, I could end up owning a company. So that doesn't sound wise. I think they're about even, to tell you the truth. So we shall buy a white share, and they're at 110. Which means I get, yes, the wealth just flashes around here, but it's weird because I'm buying, stuff from the company treasury from its shares, and not, it's not like wealth is being generated here. It looks like there's more money, but really the shares are just changing hands, and companies are, diversifying in weird sort of ways. All right, that puts us to yellow, the last of the companies. He would really like to fuck with things if he could. Now, again, I can very easily buy a share of something. This and something else could get a ton of money. But that starts with a fucking green train. Nobody wants the last green train. Singular move that works in a lot of 18xx games is I buy both of these. One of these. A 3 and a 4. That's a very good run for once, and it gives me a train that generally lasts quite a bit longer. Well, that's $460. I can't get that money in here. The most he can put into a company is 110. I can put another 110 in. I can't sell this share, which means the company is going to have it's going to have less than half of what it needs for that maneuver. That's the kind of maneuver you make in 1830 where it's full capitalization. Maybe in other games where there's loans and stuff. But I just don't have the capability to make that kind of shakeup. All I can do is hurt myself as far as I can see. But there is merging. But do I really want to merge my yellow company? First of all, I mean, I could pick anything, right? Do I really want to merge yellow with something that doesn't make a shitload of money? I think I just don't have a choice. I think I don't have a choice. I don't know. He's just in an awful position. And other people are just gaining on him continuously. So, if I want to buy something, this is going to be, if I drop a share, this is going to be worth 80, 130. I have enough to buy a single share of anything. It'll be worth less if I swallow. It'll be worth more than 80 if I run. I don't know if I need to sell a share. And a share of what is the question, of course. Because red's already run and swallowed. Yellow has not run, and I don't know that I need to swallow. I'm only allowed to sell shares at this moment, which means I have to prefigure everything. I hate doing that. So I'm not going to put that restriction on myself. I'm going to let myself sell a share later because I could play out my entire turn in my head, figure out what I want, and then do it and then follow up, repeating the things that I thought of and screw them up or something. It's just, it's bad. But, knowing what had an effect and what didn't is what's of importance. Now, is yellow buying that second 3 train kind of interesting? Nah, I don't think so. I think what I do is... No, here's where it's important. I need to know that I'm selling this. That's the issue. What if I don't sell that? What if I make the run? We do have to prefigure. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. I could swallow $90. That's enough to buy me a train, to buy me a company. And just keep these shares. Or I could be paying out, oh no, I only have one train. 20, 30, 40, 50. So I could swallow $50, which doesn't buy me anything. Doesn't buy me anything at high value. So I have to pay out, so I have to drop this. This is the one I'm going to drop. I get $90. I upgrade something. Where do I want to go? It's a good, interesting question, actually. I think this is the more interesting tile. I really wanted here was this piece, but I can't do that. So I'm putting this one, and I'm a little less than happy about it all. Okay. I get to make my run. It was 20, 30, 40, 50. We pay out. It's more than half. So they make $10 each. And now, what company do I want? All the colors are available. So whatever I pick, and I'm going to probably be picking from down here, I can put something that makes me more money coming out of there. Not that it really matters. Oh, wait, he was running a 3 train. So this was actually 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. I owe another couple bucks, $4 certificate or whatever. I'm at the last step. This company will not run. Again, it doesn't matter which color I take, particularly. I got gray or black. Gray would give me a little hook-de-doodle, that way or that way. Both are intriguing in one way or another. Black would give me the same. So it absolutely doesn't matter. Let's think about these others, purple and green. You know, all of those are out, so all the companies are equivalent at this point, basically. My instruction, railway bridge. We don't have any ports on the board, so I don't see doing it. This one is definitely interesting. What do I have here? I have a company that's worth 100. I have 80 bucks here, which could buy one of these. I don't have the money to ensure that I can buy the red share, though. And it is the only thing worth 80. So I'm kind of screwed. Again, not having... Oh, wait, I get another 10 bucks. So I do have money to bid to go first, if I wish to. Which means I want to be able to trade this in directly, so I'm going to start the company at only 100 bucks. Oh, which color do I like better? We definitely take this. Which color do I like better? Well, we'll take gray because it's next to it. We'll put it here. We grab this here. We put this at 100, flipped over for now. And the CEO share goes here, whereas these others will go here. And now, and once it runs, I can merge them, but I don't know if that's a great idea. Oh, I have their color. That's not great. I don't know. Is what I was stuck with. I think that's an argument actually to make it black. Hold on. $100 goes in here. Certainly not enough to buy a train. So that's just maybe shaking things up. This is the CEO, is the yellow company. I won't be able to take that away. That makes things kind of interesting because when I dump a share of this, to buy a share of this, someone else could buy the yellow company out for me and gain control of both companies. It's intriguing. I don't know if it's worth it, but yeah. Okay, so where are we? Like, I'm really not convinced that this is a good... Well, they would have to buy 2 shares of it to do that. We hit the end of phase. Not even red is sold out because somebody dumped one. And I think everything else is holding its own shares. So we go into phase 4 here with a bit of a mess. And I need to check the time. Looks like there's a lot of daylight left, but my pipe's low. So yeah, I'm gonna at least go upstairs and check on things. I really kind of want to do at least the stock round here, or what I'm calling the stock round. The game doesn't call it that. Because I think a lot of funk can happen here at this point. Not even 8 yet, so I can do this stock round. All right, we got to think about what people want to do, what this situation opens up. I don't really feel like, well, first of all, people don't have a shit ton of money. The people who have not been able to buy shares. Extra shares have money. But, you know, this guy's only going to have $60. He's going to have less. After they get the $10 thing, there's no shares that are cheap. That red share is interesting, but I'm not going to dump for it. So really, it's these two who are interested in a bid. And he wants to bid. He doesn't know how much. Probably not much. He wants to bid because he would like to buy that red share at 80. But you know what? So would he. The red share is worth no more than $10 to me because I can't buy it if it's $10. I'm going to roll this for that. Does he judge the same? I don't think so. I think he's judging, he'll pay up to $5 on it. So we had a bid of 3 and 4. So this is 6 and this is 8. So he's going to win the number 1 position. A shitty thing to have bid and not get what you need. 4 is going to go all the way over here because he did not bid. And he's going to get what he would have gotten no matter what. But doesn't have the money for now. Well, that sucked. But I gave him the advantage in it. We get our $10. One, no question. Buying out my own company. Actually, red shares aren't all that valuable right now. Yeah, it has 2 3 trains. Maybe I was saved something by that. Unfortunately, it costs 110. Oh no, they're valuable because they're $80 each. That's why they're valuable. So now I only have $85, which means no share for me if I do what I was intending to do. I kind of have to. So the only thing I can do is sell this for 100 and put $100 in here, grabbing another share of this without getting the presidency. That puts us over to player 3. Doesn't have cash, doesn't want to ditch anything. That red share might not be the best thing in the world at $80. Maybe a blue share is better, or a white share, although I kind of like having that in here. Gives me flexibility. I'm going to sell this for 80. And for $110, I'm going to buy a share of my own because I don't want my stock value to go down. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to replace this, or want to replace it. I have this share which I can dump later, no big deal. That puts me to him. This is down to 70. I don't have that. But I do have enough to buy other things. Now, he's doing the break open move. I don't want to do that. I think what I want to do is protect my own company, doing something very much like what White did. I'll sell this for 70. Hey, no CEO salary. How about that? It's 75. Make it 100. Now, mine is worth 110. I buy one of these. That prevents share value decrease. Maybe I can get away without selling my own share. We go back to him. Well, now there's lots of reds in there. And he's happy. But this guy is very unhappy. I don't have money. I pass. I do have money. These are only 60 bucks now. What a bargain! Glad I didn't buy that first one. Wish I hadn't bid at all still, but hey. Over on 3, no money, nothing to do. 4, no money, nothing to do. Everybody else clears out. We get down to the beginning of the operating rounds. And got money in here. Not much. Okay, let's pause. Let's run through this. The turns are relatively quick once you get used to the weirdness. So, blue's up first. Well, I'm going to get another run before things get ugly. What can I do that's worth it? Do I want to play a token? Probably not. Do I want to expand my run? Quite possibly. Now I could expand my run out here, and that would be interesting. Let's look for gray and purple. And what is the new company? The new company is black. Gray and purple are not on black. I'm going to have opportunities to those. So I am going to lay this piece of track here. Hope that I get to run them, but I don't really care too much. And I run at 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 110. I'm going to just pay out, and that is 22 per certificate. Red share looks like a deal now. Buying that up. Oh, yeah, that. I feel like blue really came out of this exchange relatively nicely. In fact, everybody but red is coming out of it nicely. And I don't know that red was doing all that well because of this damn thing. That puts me on white, who's in a similar situation to blue, doesn't have to use up my money here. Blue shares are the most interesting that I can buy. Oh, I don't know what my order is going to be. I'm probably going to be the second player. Blue is probably going to be first. Blue is probably maybe going to start a company. I don't know. He doesn't have a shit ton of money. It's a good time to start a company. Blue's not really thinking along those lines. So, see, the problem is I need the money for my train and I want to set things up. Blue set things up, but they didn't really play out the money for the train. It's 290 bucks for a train. Buying another corporation, I'm not going to have shit tons of money. Like, I'm not going to be able to buy 2 shares, so this won't be able to sell a CEO share if it buys it, which puts me in a problematic situation cash-wise. Because right now I have the 290 easily. I have 300 bucks on here. My current run is fine. I'm gonna set things up now. I can't guarantee that I would get an opportunity at the green company. I can get the gray company, but that's sending me off in a silly direction. The green company's already been eaten. Okay. I don't know where to go with this. I guess like this. I'm not thrilled about it. Oh, hey, that sets up the white company nicely. Hey, that's not a bad position anyway. So now, and I don't want to sell a share yet, 20, 30, 40, 50, 80, 90, 100, 110. We pay out. Do we pay out? Well, I don't know how many shares in there. We have a bunch on our own. I need money. I'm going to swallow that 110 bucks. I have lots of money, but I need more. I'm going to take the step that blue did not take and buy. Blue will go first. Black has to buy the green train. I am going to buy the presidency. I'm going to hurt my own company doing all this. The presidency, even though this is going to shake things up nastily, of the gray company, because it'll get to start there, at 110. Go very, very badly for me. Gray might be selling a lot of shares to get a train, but that's okay. That's what we want to do. We get to pick one of these. Purchase a share from the open market at any time. That sounds better. Going through red might be useful to me, though. That bridge, that block is just horrible. So white has gone. The next one is black. Black has a problem. Can I buy 2 trains? That's the issue. I would need 460 bucks. We're going to do it. That's 300 bucks in my pocket. Boop, boop, boop. We're set up here. We need to draw some track. We want it. What we really want is a sharp curve with going into this. We can't do that. It's not allowed. So we lay that track. We have 460. Oh, wait. We can do that. We can do that. That's the whole point. We're fully capable of doing that because of this. Okay. So 460 out of 500 gives me 40 bucks back. 25, 35, 40. And I just bought myself that 3-4 combination. The brown makes me think it's really good. It's not. It's a 4 train. Now I get to run. I don't get to hit this. I could have set it up this way, but I don't want to. I'm losing a little bit off of one round is all. So 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. That allows me to pay out, which I want to do. I mean, I kind of don't care, but I want the money into these. So that's 18 a share. I have butt kiss for money, but the yellow trains are all gone. And they ain't coming back. There's only one brown train available, and he's already started on that company. This is not what he was expecting. Blue is still in good shape. We go to the yellow company, which has a green train. I don't want 2 4 trains. Although, boy, that would put the hammer on people, wouldn't it? But I do not want that. But I do want to collect up money. Of course, I have shares, so that's not too big a deal. I do want to collect up money for the things I have. Anything help me here? I could place a brown track. Well, I can place a brown track anyway. I could place a gray track, but not until I upgrade to brown. My best move is to upgrade this, I guess. Although, yeah, I'm just running a 3 train. What the hell? Kind of a shitty thing to learn. This track has no upgrade. I'd need something that has that boop boop. Right? Maybe this, no, this will upgrade. Okay. That's not bad then. The unfamiliarity that I have with these tracks. Would this upgrade too? I don't know. No. This will not. This will not. But this one does. Okay, there is an upgrade. Well, that's what I need to do. So 3 train, this is the run I want to make. I don't want to put a token in particular. 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. 90 still lets me pay out in advance. So that's going to be 18 a share. What's up with all my cash? I have enough I can buy something, and honestly, I can sell out my company and increase its value. Much as I don't like my wealth being in my own company necessarily, this seems like a good idea to temporarily get me a value increase. That I don't get to use. This we didn't get to use. Yellow is gone. That puts me on the last company, which is red. It's getting darker, but I think we'll make it. Which is looking and saying, my 2 3 trains are looking pretty questionable. I can probably afford me a 4 train, though. And I want to pop out of here, but that'll happen no matter what because I'm sold out. So I will make my CEO $10. So the question comes down to, what do I do to run, and what is my situation? I'd love to pay out with all of the shares that I have. I think I can play this piece here. This aligns with that. There's a wide curve that aligns with that. And then there's a sharp turn here that aligns with that. This is the piece I want to play. It's the only one I can play in that space. And that's going to upgrade things. I may also be buying a token. If I buy a token, see, I got an opening coming through here. Buying a token gives me more value is really what it comes down to. I've got a pair of 3 trains. Right now I can run 1, 2, 3 down to here. That's pretty good. And 1, 2, 3. I can't backtrack this way. Pretty sure the track that the rules are trying to say that. They don't really do it very well. That's pretty rich. And there's 3 dots that have to be killed here for me not to go through here. Do I want a dot here that helps blue? It does open me up into interesting directions. What am I going to be using as a train? Do I actually want this fucking 4 train, or because that opens up the grays, and I don't think I want the grays to come out. So I think I actually just want to leave things as they are, my tokens as they are. I do have the ability to relocate a token, which is really powerful. Whatever token I'm using right now, I'll only hit once. I don't know, I could hit this, I don't know. I think I'm fine without laying a token. Feel kind of shitty having this because I'm not using it. But let's see what my runs would be then. I'm running a pair of threes, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 130, 160, 170, 190. That's 3 times 60. So if I pay out 19, that's 38 a share, and I go up 2 spaces. What shares are worth buying? Not black shares. Yes, it has a couple of high-end trains, but I'm not, well, wait a minute. This guy doesn't have any trains, and I don't want to help him particularly. This guy doesn't have any trains. I don't want to help him particularly. Wow, he's got 2 companies with no trains. Oh boy, those grays are going to come out. I need to buy me a black train when it comes down to it. Ouchie, that's going to hurt big. Everybody runs ahead of me, though, I think. I'm running at 80. Black is the one company I don't want to buy, I think. This is problematic because I don't think anything's going to make money. I think anything I buy loses me money. But black doesn't because it goes after me. I'm sold out, so I'll push up to here. That still doesn't help me. I'm just going to sit on my money. It's not enough because I'm going to be buying one hell of a train with this. Red is going to crash hard. Oops. Okay. So, we're at the end of the round. Let's check people. Blue, not sold out. Yellow, yellow, not sold out. White, sold out, I believe. White goes up. Black, not sold out. Gray, not sold out. Red is sold out, though. And then we flip these over. And we are at the start of the 5th operating round. It's going to be a massive train rush. Was this guaranteed to happen? No, it could have stayed very static. The moves that were made, I don't think are going to help the people who made them in terms of opening up more trains. This guy might not have been in as bad a shape if this idiot hadn't bought a company. But he saw what Blue did as a mistake, which is like setting up a company but not starting it. So he's like, well, that didn't work. Like, that didn't do what he expected. But yeah, I think out of the whole of it, Blue is going to win this thing. Mainly because he buys... No, he's going to get stuck with a brown train, which is going to hurt him. That's not good. I don't know. Maybe it's White's game. He's got 2 companies. Everybody's going to crash here. So maybe this guy did the right thing by shaking stuff up. And we're going to hit the priority action. It's getting awfully dark. I feel like I should load this up, but I don't think I have time to do so. maybe I do.